Well, my friends, I've been taking you on boating adventures since 2007, but did you know that my boating journey started 50 years ago?
Well, in actual fact, I'm going to have to go back more than 50 years because these photos were taken way back in 1970 when my parents rented this boat for a weekend, a long weekend. I think we had it for 3 days in total. Yeah, that's me right there, hanging out the side of the boat, all of 7 years old and having a blast. The weather, as you can see, was great. The whole family came along. One thing I do recall was that, I don't know if this was the first boat we had on that weekend or the second, because the first boat we had to be returned and we got another similar boat. The reason we had to take the boat back was the toilet stopped working. You know, I don't know if that was foreshadowing to our own experiences that we've had recently with vacuum flush, having to fix them or replace them. Well, clearly it was inspirational enough for my parents, because the following year they went out and bought this boat brand new at the Toronto Boat Show, 20-foot Starcraft American, and fiberglass boat. It had a Merc inboard outboard on it, and I remember that thing flew. I was only 8 years old, but I was impressed by the fact that it seemed to have a lot of power. And again, that boat was more often than not loaded up with all friends and family. Just a day boat, but had a great time. Here is an original brochure that I found online. Now this boat looks a little different. You can see, I think this is a different year, the boat that we actually had, just because the color changed, which is probably all that they did from year to year back in the early 70s, just change the color of the hull or the interior and call it a new boat. But yeah, we had a great time, and it was very, very inspiring for everybody, obviously including myself, because once we got a little bit older, as you know, Anchor Girl and I went and got our own boats. Obviously, the whole situation with being on the boat was very impactful and inspirational to myself, and this is why we're here. And that shot right there is obviously of myself as an 8-year-old kid with my hands up in the air, having a blast in the summer. And that fellow sitting beside me there, that is my dad. He is the reason and the inspiration and the motivation with the boating lifestyle. That's the reason that I'm here with you today, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know if we would have gone into boating ourselves. Yeah, good times. So that boat was so much fun that my parents decided we needed to move up just a little bit, because I think they only had that boat, if I recall correctly, we only had that runabout for one season, and then the following year got this boat here. I always thought it was a 24-footer from what my dad told me, but I believe it's now, just looking up some old brochures, this was actually a 25-foot Starcraft aluminum hull, but it did offer us a toilet, right? Yeah, very, very basic cooking facilities. I don't recall us ever actually cooking on the boat. Now here's another brochure that I found, another Starcraft brochure that I found online, and it's just showing some of the models. Now this is a couple of years newer. I think this was from 1975, these brochures, but I'm pretty sure that the actual boat was a 72-ish. But apart from the colors being different on the boat that we had, it's pretty much the same boat, and this one is listed as shown as a Chieftain, a 25-foot inboard outboard, which that one was as well. Aluminum hull, tough little boat. However, when we were pounding through the waves on Lake Simcoe, that thing didn't take the waves very good. It would just bounce and slam. It wouldn't slam, it would be airborne with that. And I remember one time as a kid, we were coming back from a day at wherever we would have been anchored, and the wind picked up and it was quite rough when we were heading back to the marine. And I was having a nap up in the V berth. You know, as a kid, after horsing around for the day and having a grand time, I decided to have a little sleep in the V berth, and I remember waking up because I was airborne. I was like literally bouncing off the bed on the front of the V berth, and then boom, boom, coming down. Loved it. Didn't have a problem. Now, I found this really humorous, actually, going through this same brochure, this online brochure, questioning myself as to why they show the people being depicted with the guys in sports jackets and collars and being dressed up. Man, oh man, you're out in the water in the lake. Like, lose the dress clothes, put on some shorts, and have a good time. But I guess that was the marketing people back in the day. yeah, so after that boat being in the family for a year, maybe two at the very, very most, I think we had it for 2 seasons. And then again, my parents decided to move up a little bit because, you know what, footitis, we all get that, right? And the next boat was this beautiful heavy boat. It was an Alcan aluminum hulled boat, houseboat, house cruiser, I think they called them back in the day. Again, if I recall, it was a 32-foot Alcan. I always thought my dad was telling me it was an Al-West model, but I think from what I found, it was the Sea Villa. Now I'm just going to show you again a couple of shots from an online brochure that I found on this boat. And this is the 370 model, so a 37-foot. Our 32 was clearly a little bit smaller, but basically this is the closest rendering that I could find in the brochures to the model that we had. And now the big difference from this brochure, apart from the extra 5 feet that this boat had, it had an extra motor. Now this boat, as fun and as rough and tumble as it was way underpowered. As you can see in this shot, this is with the boat up in the air, winter storage, clearly because we're standing on the ice in the marina back in the day. That's me standing there holding the outdrive. My sister and my mother in this shot as well. Now I'm going to show you what the actual engine was in this thing. Clearly this bay was designed to put more than just one engine in it. This was a single Chrysler 383 Super B engine, because I remember there was a little B icon on the top of the air cleaner. You know, a lot of power in a car if it was in a, you know, Charger or whatever back in the day, but way underpowered for the weight and the size of this boat. And it was, yeah, that boat could be challenging. You know, we used that boat a lot, put a lot of miles on it. Local miles, shall we say. I think I mentioned this before. My parents weren't so as adventuresome as both Anchor Girl and I are with our travels. Yeah, so my parents sold that boat in 1978 and bought a waterfront cottage on Lake Simcoe. And so they didn't need the boat anymore and moved on. So it was a number of years after the fact that my dad decided he wanted to get another boat. And what did he get? You guessed it, a Sea Ray. Now, I think that's the only photo I have of the boat, but I do have some crappy old video footage here taken with a rented video camera. And yeah, this is us going in. That's my dad. This is the boat. It was a 24-foot Sea Ray cuddy cabin, so it was just like a wide open cuddy, and there was a little, like a porta potty toilet inside there. They didn't have that boat very long anyways, but as you can see, very simple boat again. But that boat, solid boat, and it took a shit kicking. We were out there a couple of times going through some really heavy waves, and yeah, took us through. So when it came time for Anchor Girl and I to start looking at boats, let's go look at a Sea Ray, and that put us on the path to where we are right now with the Sea Rays. So in the next video, I will move on to the boats that we have had, Anchor Girl and I have had up until this point in time. I just wanted to give you the background and show you where we came from, what the influence was, and why we are still loving boating today. So anyways, I'm going to leave this one with you guys and love to hear your comments. I would love to hear your stories about when you started boating, who your influence was, if it was your parents or if you guys just jumped in boating all by yourselves. Whatever it is, yeah, let me know. I look forward to hearing your stories and telling us what inspired you to get into the boating lifestyle. And I'm sure you're loving it just as much as we are. So that's it. Look forward in the next video on this series. It's going to be our first Sea Ray, the first boat that Anchor Girl and I had together. Oh wait, I'm lying, because we had a boat before that never even made it to the water, but you'll see that's a story in of itself. So I will see you on the next one, my friends. That's it for now. Cheers.